Ring of Honor, November of 2004, Weekend of Thunder. As per the name of the weekend, we got the debut of Jushin Thunder Liger in Ring of Honor. We got the continuation of the Samoa Joe and CM Punk story building to their third match of their trilogy. And for whatever reason, Mick Foley is the catalyst there. We got factions being built up. We are getting to prime versions of a lot of different characters here in Ring of Honor. We got more prophecy lore unfolding. We got embassy lore. We got people getting knocked out in matches. We got blind people doing moonsaults. It's all here. All of the indie-rific mid-2000s stuff that you love is here. And you know what else is here? You. I'm glad you are. So hop in here. The Apron Bump Podcast.
Talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock this. Let's get it started.
What's up, everybody? Howdy. Welcome to the Apron Bump Podcast. I'm your host, the hardest part of the ring, Kyle. How is everybody doing today? Hope everybody is doing swimmingly out there in the real world. We're going to talk a little Ring of Honor today from 2004, arguably some peak stuff from the promotion, or at least we're building towards it, I think. I mean, there's a lot of, there's a lot of, I'll tell you what, guys, just before we get into the Ring of Honor, like, wrestling today, right? We're recording this, end of September of 2025. It's a very different landscape than it was over 20 years ago, the shows we're covering today. How are you guys doing with wrestling today? My question. This could be a whole other episode, so I'm not going to get too much into it, but it's like, it's not tickling me right now. It's not grabbing me by the cockles like it once did. And oftentimes, it could be, is there too much wrestling? Is it oversaturated? Is it just not good? Like, there's a lot of different things. And again, that's a whole different thing. We can get into that a different day. But I sit here and at the end of 2025, and sometimes when I'm watching the current product, I'm like, man, am I falling out of love with wrestling? Like, am I burnt out on wrestling? Am I growing out of it? Like, I've had those thoughts in the past couple months, weeks, years. But then I will turn on a 2004 Ring of Honor show. I'll experience an event of 700 to 1,000 people in an armory of some sort with shoddy lighting and weird music and a lot of pleather and baggy pants and bandanas. And it just brings me back, man. It reminds me of what wrestling can make me feel. Everybody has that, right? Everybody has that version of wrestling that always gets you. For some people, it's WCW. For some people, it's Japanese wrestling, Lucha Libre. Some people, it's what's going on today that's really getting them. Man, Ring of Honor, mid to late 2000s. I feel like it is like the sweet spot for me. I feel like it's where I have most fun watching the product. It's just so like. It's like intimate. It feels intimate, but it still feels big. Like it still feels electric and energetic, but it just feels tight enough to where it just feels like I'm there. Does that make sense? Probably not, right? It just gets me. It makes the hairs on my arms stand up. Which, by the way, I just learned that when that happens to dogs and cats, when like the hair stands up on their spine, do you know what that's called? It's often called like hackles, but the scientific term for that, piloerection. Pilo erection. Piloerection. So if you don't think that I'm going to squeeze that into every episode here going from here on out, you're sadly mistaken. This show gave me several piloerections. We're going to get into it. I'm just gonna throw if other podcasts or whatever have me on. It's like, yeah, man, this show really it didn't really give me a lot of piloerections, but it was just pretty. See, you come for the wrestling, you leave with an enhanced vocabulary. So you're welcome. You're welcome. But anyways, let's get into some Ring of Honor here. 2004 Weekend of Thunder is what we are going to be talking about. 2 nights of action. We got night 1 coming at us from Revere, Massachusetts in the Greater Boston Indoor Sports Center. Attendance of about 750. This is night 1, and it's coming at us on November 5th, 2004. Night 2 coming at us from the world famous Rexplex in Elizabeth, New Jersey. Got about 1,100 rabid fans there. And that'll be night 2. So that's what these events are called. Weekend of Thunder, night 1 and night 2. So it should be pretty easy. A great weekend here. And you might be asking yourself, why is it called Weekend of Thunder? And if you're asking yourself that means you didn't listen to like the second sentence I said on this podcast. But no, Jushin Thunder Liger coming over from Japan, making his debut in Ring of Honor. And it's, man, some really great stuff there. And just kind of an overview of other stuff we're going to be talking about today. Again, Samoa Joe, CM Punk, they don't have their 3rd match this month. That'll be next month. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And by the way, stay tuned for that episode. And if you're not caught up, by the way, I've covered every single Ring of Honor show that's happened thus far, from their very first show in February of 2002, all the way through 02, all the way through 03, and all the way through 04 up to here, November. So we're about to bring 2004 to a close. So if you want to get caught up, go to the link in the description to bring you to all of the chronological Ring of Honor episodes that I've covered, both solo and with guests. I've had Ring of Honor alumni on the show. I've had other wrestling fans that are experts in Ring of Honor. I've had wrestling fans that have never seen Ring of Honor before. So you get a little taste of everything. But it's a fun journey. Throughout it all, you get to see the births, the seeds being planted for stars of today. You get to see weird kind of cameos, You get to experience a lot of wrestlers that a lot of people don't know nowadays that for whatever reason didn't blow up, whether it was too early, too late for them, whatever it is. But there's a lot of great talent that you might not know of that you can learn about by listening to the Apron Bump, the Ring of Honor timeline. So go check that out if you have not already. There's a playlist on YouTube if you want to check that out. Or you can go to apronbump.com, go to the episodes tab and select Ring of Honor, and that'll bring you all the episodes chronologically covered. Select whatever app you want to listen to it on or watch it on or taste it on. And while we're just plugging away, at Apron Bump on all the social medias, join the Discord. All right. Let's get into it, baby. Ring of Honor. So we're going to be talking about Jushin Thunder Liger. He has matches on both nights. We also got the Samoa Joe CM Punk story continuing with a little dollop of Austin Aries embedded in there, which he's a key factor here, as well as another legend, another WWE legend popping in here. And we got a lot of faction talk on this show. If you've been following the past couple episodes of the Apron Bump and talking about Ring of Honor, it's being dominated by factions right now, and I'm kind of liking what I'm seeing. We got the Rottweilers, we got the former Prophecy, which is, man, I have some clips ready for us to dissect with the whole story of Dan Moff, BJ Whitmer, and Allison Danger. Allison Danger is giving me nightmares on this one, but we'll get into it. And man, another faction that I think we've glazed over in past few episodes, but I think is really hitting their stride. I'm not even going to tell you who it is. I'm going to let you guess. I'm going to let you think on it, but I think they low key might have been the star of the weekend. So, and then we have some other, notable matches, wrestlers, some scramble matches we'll touch on. A couple match of the night or match of the weekend contenders here. Little Chad Collier. Oh man, I'm becoming such a Chad Collier mark. It's insane. Nigel McGuinness is here, and we got a lot going on. Let's get into it. Let's start with the namesake of the weekend, Jushin Thunder Liger. So he has 2 matches. His night 1 match, guess we'll start there. It makes enough sense. Night 1 main event, Jushin Thunder Liger versus Bryan Danielson. Daddy. Daddy, choke me. I mean, by golly. Let's just, first of all, let's take a step back. Let's Jushin Thunder Liger and Ring of Honor. Let's talk about the significance of that. I'm not going to pretend like I'm the subject matter expert on Jushin Thunder Liger, because I'm not. I've not delved enough into his archive from Mexico and Japan. Most of what I've seen is from like WCW or here in Ring of Honor when he popped into NXT. Various indies, like I've watched like Rev Pro where he's popped up, and I've seen a few of his Japan matches. I need to dig more into it, but a legend. I feel like he's been a legend for like 30 years at this point. Because when he popped up in Ring of Honor, or I'm sorry, when he popped up in WCW, I forget when that was, but he popped up in, I think it was him and Pillman, right? That was his first episode of Nitro. Am I tripping? That was the match, right? I could be totally wrong. If I am, sound off in the comments. But even at that point, it was like, oh, Liger is here, this revered legend. He's been in the game so long. This is 95. And here in 2004, obviously still that legend. And then he keeps on wrestling for years and years after this. So that being said, obviously one of the greats. I mean, a lot of stuff that unfortunately feels cliche and like kind of just template with wrestling nowadays, like your suicide dives, your planchas, your high flying stuff. Like this is all stuff that Jushin Liger, if not invented, he popularized and just improved and made it significant in wrestling. So he's very much a pioneer in a lot of different ways. So that type of style, that significance plays perfectly into the heartstrings of people that are watching Ring of Honor, especially people that are attending Ring of Honor. So both nights that he was here in both of his matches, I don't know if I've ever seen a bigger like reaction to any wrestler in Ring of Honor up to this point. Night one, I mean, Jushin Liger comes out, the crowd comes unglued. You know what? Let's just play a clip. Let's play a quick clip of his entrance from night one, just to bring you guys in, just to surround yourselves with the atmosphere of what we're talking about here. So this is night one. Bryan Danielson, Jushin Thunder Liger. Let's listen to a little bit of Jushin's entrance here. Okay, so that's Bryan Danielson's music and his whole deal. If you're watching on YouTube, you can watch along here, but he's still rocking the goofy black robe and the hood. We still got Jedi Bryan Danielson here, so we're not quite to his peak, but we're getting there. But let's get back to it. So hype. Slapping the barricades. Listen, man, come on now. And I'll get into the ring introductions here because there's something that very funny that happens here. Hold on. Weighing 185 pounds, American Dragon. Takes off his jacket and throws it at him. Oh, they're not happy with that. You don't do that to a legend.
To my right, from Fukuoka, Japan.
Shout out Fukuoka. Streamers. You got the Japanese press there. You got people bringing signs in Japanese. So that's kind of where we are sitting at with this this night one main event. Bryan Danielson, Jushin Thunder Liger, and they set it up pretty well. The show opens up with a promo from Bryan Danielson backstage, basically saying, I've wrestled in Japan. I've beaten all of the juniors over there. He's naming them off one by one. But the one junior that I have not beaten is you, Liger. And we're going to change that tonight. Simple story, but it works. We got some stakes. We got some rationale behind this match. And just the presence of Liger, because, I was getting into it. He's a legend at this point, so obviously that the name value adds a lot to Ring of Honor, and especially when you consider like where they've come from. We were watching shows like in 02 where like the big name is like C.W. Anderson or J.T. Smith. Like, no disrespect to those guys, but it's like, all right, this feels kind of like just like the afterbirth of ECW, but it's like here, Liger has gone out of his way to come to Ring of Honor. Like I said, his style just fits in with the ethos of Ring of Honor, what Ring of Honor fans are kind of looking for from wrestling. Big fans of Liger. The Venn diagram, it perfectly overlaps, is what I'm saying. And it just gives Ring of Honor that much more credibility and gives us a great match, a couple of great matches this weekend. But Bryan Danielson, Jushin Thunder Liger, just a dream match in 2004. So just really good stuff here. And we're talking about the match itself, like, first of all, we listened to that entrance and watched it and the ring introductions. It just feels like a big time match. The crowd's going ape shit for Liger. The Japanese, like I said, the Japanese press is surrounding the ring. It's like a lumberjack match out there. And Danielson does a great job. Like I mentioned, him throwing his jacket at Liger in the beginning set the tone. Lots of heat right out the gate, and they get underway here. And obviously, like Bryan Danielson, Liger, it's going to be a good match. I thought Liger comes out hot with a lot of his hits, some of the planchas and the pose and all that stuff, right? The fast-paced stuff here. But Bryan gets control early, and I'm just reminded of how good Bryan Danielson is, man. He's not like that big of a dude, but he's so good at coming off like such a bully. Just a killer, a bully killer is Bryan Danielson here. Bald, maroon tights, Bryan Danielson. I mean, we're just picking Liger apart. All the submissions, all the kicks, just all the digit manipulation, like all that stuff is just so good here. Dragon suplex. Liger kicks at it too. Swings right into the cattle mutilation. Liger just barely gets to the ropes. Just really like, textbook stuff here, but just done so well. The crowd is with it through the entire thing. Liger makes his comeback and gives us all the hits. The Liger kick, brain busters, Liger bomb, but is unable to get Bryan to stay down for 3. All of these result in 2 counts. We have really good drama in the finishing stretch here. We got dragon suplex counters. We got brain buster counters. We're trying to hit our last big move to get the win. But ultimately, Liger with a top rope brain buster. I mean, this is not a superplex. Sometimes people have the idea, it's like, oh yeah, we'll do like a superplex, but a brain buster, and it kind of just looks like a superplex. This was a fucking brain buster off the top rope. gnarly bump here. You're seeing why Danielson can't wrestle anymore is because of things like this. But god damn it looked awesome. And that gives Liger the win in night 1 over Bryan Danielson, which is significant. I mean, Bryan Danielson, he's one of the, he hasn't reached his peak in Ring of Honor, but he is already like a monster, one of the top guys. He's a Mount Rushmore guy at this point already. But just a really, really fun match. Liger gets the win, sends the crowd home happy. That's all you can ask for. So great stuff there. You could argue match of the weekend. I might have a different choice, but we'll touch on that later. And we can just wrap up the Liger saga from this weekend in night 2. So Bryan wanted to beat Liger because he had not beat him up to this point. Could not beat him in night 1. Well, perhaps he gets another chance because on night 2, The main event, Bryan Danielson, Jushin Thunder Liger on opposite sides, but this time it's a tag team match. And each guy, Danielson and Liger, gets the opportunity to pick a partner, a dream partner of their choice. Jushin Thunder Liger, for his partner, he picks, of course, the Ring of Honor World Champion, Samoa Joe. Bryan Danielson, with a bit more of a off-the-wall pick, but considering who it is and who he's facing, it kind of makes sense. Bryan Danielson picks Low Ki as his partner. So we got Bryan Danielson and Low Ki versus Jushin Thunder Liger and Samoa Joe. Low Ki feels like the odd one out here because he's been embedded in like all the Rottweilers. He's coming out with the bandana and the cargo pants with one leg pulled up. He's been in that world for a while. It's been a while since he's been like a main event guy. But he's Liger's influenced a lot of wrestlers, but Low Ki is just like on the nose, like, oh yeah, this is like his guy. Obviously, like you watch Low Ki, like the Liger kick, all of the kicks and the elbows, like Low Ki is very influenced by that Japanese style. So it makes sense for him to be on the opposing side of Liger, so him and Liger can go at it. So, I mean, you look at these four, another dream match scenario, and shocker, another great match, another tremendous match here. Watching Liger and Samoa Joe team up is just a trip. This is so fun. You got Liger doing his Olay kicks, which the face wash on the outside against the barricade. Just really fun stuff here. Bryan Danielson and Low Ki have control. It felt very like weirdly like just like a typical Southern wrestling, like almost like a WWE style match, which is weird considering all the competitors. But it's like the heels are controlling the match, beating up on Samoa Joe, or is it Joe or Liger? I think it's kind of both of them. But Danielson and Low Ki, again, just a fun pair of just like ass kickers, like just bullying both these guys with the submissions and their tag team stuff. So, but again, Liger gets the hot tag, all of the hits, the Liger kicks, the Liger bomb, Samoa Joe, all of the rapid fire slaps and the kicks, all the Samoa Joe hits, the sentons, the power bombs into the STF, like just really, really good stuff here. Particularly the ending stretch of this match. Everybody just throwing bombs. The note here that I put that really stuck out to me, I love all of the desperate pin breakups. Like Bryan will hit a dragon suplex onto Liger, and Samoa Joe, he's been beat up. He like crawls into the ring and just like dives desperately to make it was particularly good in this match from all four guys. It just made it feel desperate. It made it, there was a sense of urgency in this match, and it was just really fun stuff here. And then ultimately Liger beats Bryan Danielson again, this time with the Liger bomb. So Jushin Thunder Liger 2-0 this weekend, and unfortunately Danielson 0-2. But the story continues after the match. Low Ki, Bryan Danielson, they're in the ring. Joe and Liger have left. Ki blames Bryan for the loss, which is pretty valid. He's the one that got pinned. So they have a shoving match, and then the Rottweilers, which is a faction, of course, that Low Ki is a part of. Homicide, Julius Smokes, Ricky Reyes, Rocky Romero. They attack Bryan Danielson. Then out come Samoa Joe, Jushin Liger. They come back. They save Bryan. They send the Rottweilers barking away. They send them away. Julius Smokes is, at one point, he's surrounded in the ring by Danielson, Joe, and Liger, and then they all get their shots in. They all get palm striked, and Julius Smokes just goes flying out of the ring, and Bryan ends up raising Liger's hand to close out the weekend. So ultimately, they had a feud coming into this, but there's respect there. It's unclear where Bryan's character really lies. Is he a babyface? Is he a heel? Is he just kind of in the middle? Is he just kind of like it depends on the night kind of thing? Seems like the crowd's with him, whatever side he's on. So that's just the beauty of Bryan Danielson. But that was also the beauty of Jushin Thunder Liger. So shout out him. Great stuff from Liger this weekend. And it just feels like it just we're boosting up Ring of Honor as a brand. It's becoming a destination promotion. Obviously, in the past, we've seen our Mick Foley's, our Ricky Steamboats. Who else? All the Japanese guys that came last Final Battle. A lot of good stuff here. So I think that about wraps up the Liger talk. So I think now is time we talk about the adventures of Mr. CM Phil. Mr. CM Punk is all over this weekend, and in a variety, he has his hands in a lot of different pots. He's got a lot of spoons in the porridge, as they say. So let's get into it. First of all, let's recap. So we are fresh off of Samoa Joe versus CM Punk 2 last month, which if you haven't listened to that, I strongly encourage you to go listen. There's a lot of meat on the bone with that match. They're two matches they've had up to this point, where we are at with the third one. And that's kind of where we are left off. And that's where we get to with CM Punk here, Weekend of Thunder. So CM Punk wants a rematch. He wants a rematch. And I think it's very valid because, and just a recap of the first two Samoa Joe CM Punk matches, if you're not familiar, both matches, 60-minute time limit draws. The first one ended with CM Punk hitting his Pepsi plunge off the top rope, but the time expiring before he can make the pin. The second one ended with Samoa Joe hitting the Muscle Buster off the top rope and unable to capitalize to make the pin. So there's a duality there, and there's a thread between the matches. Both matches pretty similar, to be honest, in a lot of different ways, with enough progression to kind of differentiate them. But the point is, Samoa Joe in title matches has not beaten CM Punk. Punk hasn't beaten Joe. And Joe's argument is like, I'm the champion. I don't have to beat you. You have to beat me. But CM Punk's like, hey, pal, you've beaten everybody, but you can't beat me. So that shows something, and that shows that I deserve another match. And this time I want it to be no time limit. That's what CM Punk wants. He cuts a promo in the beginning of night one stating that. And he will not stop until he gets that rematch. Samoa Joe hesitant to give it to him. But is that because he feels Punk has already had enough chances, or is it because Mr. Joey Samoa is scared of CM Punk? Well, let's see. But first, the first part of the story, because it all ties together. We have Punk and Joe, obviously, but another man that enters himself into this whole feud, this whole story, is Mr. Austin Aries. So night one, we got CM Punk versus Austin Aries. And a really fun match. I will say also, so I watched that famous shoot interview with CM Punk and Samoa Joe. And I remember them talking about how beat up they were going into that second match. I know CM Punk, his knee is all jacked up, among other things. And I don't know if that plays a factor here in this match, and if it plays a factor going forward. But I know he's beat up going into this match, and Austin Aries kind of plays onto that by attacking the knee in this match. It's a lot of knee-based stuff here. But first, before we get into that, maybe I'm jumping the gun here. So Punk and Aries come out. Or Punk comes out, and there's a big fuck TNA chant, which I'm not totally sure on the backstory. I think it might just be because there was a fan there with a TNA shirt that was being particularly obnoxious. I think that's all it comes down to. And I know CM Punk had a cup of coffee there in TNA for a while. I think he left in 03 though, maybe early 04. But yeah, big fuck TNA chant. TNA is not over in the Ring of Honor world. And also there's a lot of different things here, because also you got CM Punk. CM Punk is a member of the Second City Saints, which is Colt Cabana and Ace Steel, that faction there. Then you got Austin Aries as a member of Generation Next, him along with Alex Shelley, Roderick Strong, and Jack Evans. So you got some faction warfare going on between these two, but you also got Punk and Aries individually are gunning for that world title. And at the last show, I believe, Colt Cabana was taken out by Generation Next and Austin Aries. Broke his arm with a chair. He's out of there. And Punk says, hey, he has a promo before their match saying Colt Cabana will be back and he will get his revenge on Austin Aries. And then he transitions into Samoa Joe. He says Samoa Joe is ducking him and that the third time will be the charm. But we're not there. We're not at the finalization of that match yet. We just progress into this match between CM Punk and Austin Aries. A really, really solid match here. Again, I have a hunch that Punk might be coming into this match injured, but he was still able to carry out a pretty good match here. It made Aries look like a killer. I will say that because, you know, he's attacking the knee. He's doing like DDTs to the knee. He's doing knee drops and all these submissions. And that's pretty much the main story of this match. And having Aries, you know, beat up on CM Punk and have the performance here that he did makes sense considering the direction that they're going to be going into with the world title. I won't say too much in case you're unfamiliar, but it makes a lot of sense. I'll just say that. It makes a lot of sense. This match is very back and forth in the beginning until Punk, he goes for a Shining Wizard on the outside, but Aries gets out of the way and Punk goes knee first into the steel barricade, which always, these Ring of Honor barricades, man, I can't emphasize this enough. They're just so loud. They just feel so devastating when anybody gets run into them or anybody hits them. So this is at this point, you know, knee first into the barricade. Aries begins attacking the knee with knee breakers on the apron. He snaps his leg on the table that's ringside. I'll also say the match is going on. At some point, the lights just randomly go out. ROH. There is, I don't know, fuse blew, whatever the hell happened. But then the lights go out. So they go to this like backup spotlight. So it's just a dark room with a spotlight following these guys in the ring. It's really harsh. It's just so bright. And I feel like it honestly made it worse than if they just wrestled in the dark, to be honest. But eventually came back. It was the whole thing. But really fun part of this match here is when Punk is starting to make a comeback, but then Aries catches one of his kicks and then hits this really sick snap DDT to the leg. It just looked so good. It feels like just like on paper, it feels like a very awkward move to hit, but it just looked so good here. Aries follows right up, goes for a figure four. Punk kicks him off, but Aries goes right in between the second and third rope onto the apron. And then like in one fluid motion, he gets kicked off this figure four through the ropes, bang, bang, boom, flips over the top rope with a flipping plancha, like halfway across the ring right onto Punk's knee. Just the accuracy was just so sick. Then that Aries classic pendulum elbow to the knee, really tight single leg crabs here by Austin Aries, where Punk, like at any point, it feels like Punk could tap out theoretically. Like I was watching, I was like, oh, this could be the end here several times, but then Punk he either gets to the ropes or he'll counter with a roll up into a pin, really close 2 counts. Just really fun drama here at the end. And at some point, Punk hits a German suplex with a bridge. But I like this. His knee's been worked on, so he can only bridge with one leg. So he has like one leg in the air, can't bridge with both of them. And this allows Aries to kick out. Very crucial detail that allows him to kick out because of all the work that he had done on the leg. Punk goes for the Shining Wizard, but is pretty hesitant too, as he should be. It feels like why would you try that if you have an injured knee? But he goes for it, again, hesitantly. And this allows Aries to catch him with a slick, rolling single leg crab, very Lance Storm-esque. Punk gets to the ropes here, though. Aries brings him up to the top rope, goes for a superplex. But Punk fights out of it and hits a Pepsi plunge, which to me feels like the worst possible move you could execute with an injured knee. For those unfamiliar, a Pepsi plunge is a top rope pedigree. Just think about that for a second. You have an injured knee. Let me jump off the top rope knee first. fucking guy. I mean, hit like a angel's wings or a pile driver or something. Like, a little audible there, Punkski, but whatever. He goes with what he knows. Hits it, but of course, unable to capitalize because his knee's all shredded. And Aries is also close to the rope, so he's able to get his foot on the ropes to break up the pin. Then Austin Aries fights back, 450 splash onto the injured knee, right into another single leg crab. Pulls him so fucking tight, pulls him to the center of the ring. Grapevines the leg. Just a big yikes here. Just looked brutal, and Punk has to tap out here. CM Punk submits to Austin Aries in this match. Austin Aries beats CM Punk in the middle of the ring. Then Aries grabs the mic, cuts a promo, saying that Punk was looking past him and he was looking towards Joe. But Austin Aries is the one standing here as the victor. So if there's anybody that deserves a title shot, it's me, says Austin Aries, which is valid, very valid. And a lot of the pieces of the puzzle are getting put into place for the close of this year. But again, just a fun match. Again, this did great things for making Austin Aries look like a beast. Like we're still pretty fresh off of that Austin Aries, Bryan Danielson 75-minute match, and all of Aries, he's just gotten so over. It's very like if you're following the apron bump and all of the timelines that I cover, you know, if you keep up with the progress timeline, we're seeing a very similar thing with Travis Banks, who is just like he got over just by being a cool wrestler. And Aries is a similar thing. Like he's just so explosive and fun to watch. I feel like the crowd has kind of been drawn to him, and he's very much in a world title picture while just debuting in the company a few months ago, which is insane. But that's where we're at here with Austin Aries. Well, actually, no, you know what? We got a little more. We got a little more here. We won't touch. You know what? We're going to touch all over this, I think. Night 2. So that was night 1, that match we just talked about. Night 2, we're going back to that Generation Next versus the Second City Saints feud. Night 2, we have a no disqualification tag team match. The team of Generation Next, represented by Austin Aries and Roderick Strong, versus the Second City Saints, represented by Ace Steel and CM Punk, as Colt Cabana is still injured. So we have this no DQ match following up that Aries and Punk match from the previous night. This match is a fucking car crash. Like, I don't know if I can call this a good match, but I had fun watching it. I'll tell you that. I mean, this, like I said, it's a car crash match. You know, it's not particularly pretty, but not every match has to be. This type of match, I feel like there's an art into making it not look pretty. Not to say that it was all intentional, but I feel like when you watch like this matches, there's ladders, there's chairs, there's tables. Not everything needs to be set up so perfectly. That's what kind of takes me out of like modern ladder matches and all that stuff. It's like everything's just so set up, so pretty. Everything's locked in and so flat and perfect for you to take the perfect bump under the thing. Here, we're just getting thrown into the corners of ladders. They're set up like kind of shittily on the corner. It's like they clearly only had the budget for one ladder, so it's all fucking it's all bent up. But they're still trying to climb it. Like there's a beauty to this. There's a beauty to this that I love. This match may have went on slightly too long, but I thought it accomplished what it was designed to. You have two factions that hate each other, especially following up Punk losing to Aries. You know, he wants his revenge here. Aries again wants to solidify himself in the world title picture. We have the Colt Cabana revenge underlying tones here as well. So there's a lot going on here. The Saints jumpstart as they're making their entrance. The arena goes black. They're about to come through the curtain, but they come through the crowd and attack Generation Next from behind, and we're off to the races. Brawling all around the ring, on the outside of the ring. Roderick Strong with a Uranagi onto a set-up chair onto CM Punk. Aries with a crazy tope through the second and first rope onto Ace Steel, who was set up on a chair on the outside. Jack Evans comes out, another member of Generation Next. Alex Shelley was not here this weekend. I don't know if he was just booked somewhere else or whatever the thing is, but Jack Evans comes out. He brings a ladder into the equation, and he essentially becomes a part of this match. Again, just so many brutal spots on this damn ladder, man. That CM Punk, he power pump. Hold on, I'm reading my notes here. CM Punk power pump to Austin Aries on it. Power bomb. This goddamn Siri reading my talk to text. Mushmouth idiot. CM Punk power bomb to Austin Aries onto a ladder. Ace Steel drops Roddy onto it with a back suplex. Again, this ladder, the ladder is like on it. It's like at an angle. They're not like landing perfectly on it. These spots look brutal. They might sound mundane as I say them, but they looked gnarly. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, like Ace Steel and Roddy will be going at it in the ring. And then, like, from out of frame, Jack Evans with a springboard spinning tornado kick off the top. So his involvement in the match was just insane. They do Roddy and Jack Evans, who have been teaming a lot together recently. They do this like doomsday device, but instead of a lariat, Jack Evans comes off with a cross body. They hit that. And then Roddy throws up Jack Evans like by the feet into a Phoenix Splash, which is just incredible looking. They continue the attack on CM Punk's knee from the previous night, which makes sense. Like they put his knee in between the ladder rungs and Roddy sandwiches it and then stomps it onto Punk's knee. Aries with chair shots to the knee breakers to CM Punk. And then finally the ladder has just been through it. The ladder is broken in half. When CM Punk backdrops Roddy through it in the corner. Well, I thought it was broken in half at least. It was definitely bent up because they set this goddamn ladder back up to climb it because a table is set up on the outside of the ring. Jack Evans sets up the ladder inside the ring that's all mangled to the point where Roddy and the ref have to hold this ladder up so it doesn't topple over. Jack Evans, top of the ladder. I think is it Ace Steel? I believe it's Ace Steel is set up on the table on the outside. Jack Evans on the ladder inside the ring. Jack Evans, 450 off the top of the ladder, doesn't quite make it to doesn't quite make it to the table. I don't know if he just didn't commit to it or what. He just kind of bounces off of it. Table doesn't break. So Austin Aries, he improvises and he just gets on the apron with a cactus elbow through the table. But Ace Steel gets out of the way and Aries just goes crashing through the table. Inside the ring, Punk and Ace hit a spike pile driver to Roddy on this ladder. And then Generation Next, they come back. They try to do that Doomsday crossbody again, but this time CM Punk catches Jack Evans as he's on the shoulders of Roddy. CM Punk catches Jack Evans into a crossbody. Very, very Steiner Brothers-esque. Later in the match, Aries with a Finley roll onto the ladder and onto Ace Steel, and then goes for a 450 splash off the top rope, but misses, and Aries goes crashing into the ladder. This ladder, I swear, is like the centerpiece of this entire match. Punk ends up hitting a really, really ugly looking Pepsi plunge onto Roddy Strong onto the ladder. That gets the win. And to kind of paint the picture here, the ladder is set up in between the second and third ropes in the corner. So like kind of flat, like, you know what I mean? Like in the corner. I think the idea was that Punk was going to hit the Pepsi plunge onto the ladder. Maybe, I don't know how. It didn't really make a lot of sense, but Punk's feet end up getting caught in the ladder and ends up hitting like a just a angel's wings type of move. Lands kind of on his ass. But I guess at the point's like whatever. Roddy still goes face first into the mat. So Punk pins Roddy for the win here. Does not pin Aries, which is very important. So the second long story short, Second City Saints get the win, and I guess CM Punk gets a bit of revenge, even though he did not beat Austin Aries, which the Punk and Aries stories, from what I understand, continues into 2005. So we're planting a lot of seeds there. But Second City Saints get the win. So Punk is 1-on-1 on the weekends. But by golly, we're not quite done here because Punk wins. He's in the ring. He's cutting a promo. He says he deserves the rematch against Samoa Joe because Joe never beat him. And he says that next time they are in New Jersey, he wants that rematch. And CM Punk says that he's going to open up a chair, put it in the middle of the ring, and he's going to sit there until that match is made official. He's going to sit there until Samoa Joe comes out to the ring and shakes his hand and agrees to the rematch. So he sets up this chair. Punk does. Sits in the ring. He says, "Come out, Joe." Joe doesn't come out. "Come on out. Come on. Joey Samoa, get your big ass out of here," is what he says. It's not. Joe's not coming out. Punk's like, "Well, in front of Jushin Thunder Liger, you're really going to play it like that, huh? All the Japanese press are here and you're not going to agree to this rematch? Where are you at, Joe?" Joe doesn't come out. You know who does come out? Bang, bang! Mitch Foley comes out. Mick Foley with his his new kids book. His new what's it called? Let me Google this real quick. It's like clearly a kid's book, right? It's like big and yellow and hard. Just like my cock. Just kidding. It's not big. And Mick Foley children's book. I feel like he might have a few at this point. Anybody out there read it? Feel free to sound off in the comments on if you've read his kids book before. It's not coming up here. Oh, I just typed in children's. That's why I know Noel Foley's coming up. Children's book. Tales from Reskull Lane by Mick Foley. Still available. You can get it on Amazon. Ain't that fun? Yeah, he's got a few kids' books at this time. What a guy. Well, let me get thrown off Hell in a Cell. Let me go through fire and barbed wire and tax. And now I'm going to write kids' books and be Santa. What a time. But anyways, Mick Foley comes out. Just the juxtaposition of him plugging his kids' book into this Ring of Honor crowd who just watched this brutal, like, ladder-filled, no DQ match. He's plugging it. And he says, at one point, he's like, "In conjunction with WWE, we're releasing this book." And when he says with WWE, there's huge boos, which, like, just at the time where, like, Punk is going to be in WWE within a year, Mick Foley's going back to WWE, but then Punk grabs the mic and he's like, "At least it's not TNA." And then the crowd cheers. They hate TNA. I don't know what it is, man. But Mick Foley, after this quick plug of his book, pulls out a picture that he has in this book. It's not in the book. It's just like a thing that he loosely put in the book. He pulls it out, and it's a picture of Mick Foley and Jushin Thunder Liger from 12 years before this. And Mick says, "I'm just here as a fan. I'm here because I want to see Liger. Me and him are friends. I want to see him compete. Love what Ring of Honor is doing. I've been here the past couple months. I'm just here as a fan." And he makes a comment. Mick does. He's like, "I think it's a crime that guys like John Heidenreich and Gene Snitsky are getting seen by millions of people, and not nearly as many people are seeing what Punk and Joe have been doing," which is just a riot. It's accurate. It's actually very crazy, but he's putting over Punk here. He's putting over Joe as well. He says, "With all due respect to you, Punk, and also all due respect to Triple H, Samoa Joe is one of the best in the world." So this is the comparison of Samoa Joe and 2004 Triple H. This is so funny here. Crowd, huge boos when Triple H is mentioned, by the way. It's also very funny here because he's like mentioning all these WWE things, Mick Foley is, and he's like trying to play on what Punk did earlier. He's like, "Well, hey, at least it's not TNA." Meanwhile, Mick Foley is going to be TNA champion here within a few years. Punk's going to WWE within a few years. Just a crazy time. It's crazy how time works, but Mick Mick Foley says that he's going to use his name and his recognition to make this match happen. Punk called out Joe earlier. Joe didn't come out. But Mick Foley, I'm Mick Foley. I'm going to come out I'm going to call out Samoa Joe. I'll get him to come out here. Joe, come on down. Crickets. Let's try one more time. Samoa Joe, let's get out of here. Come on out here, Joe. Nothing. He says, well, I guess, much like Ricky Steamboat, Samoa Joe is soft core. Check out the last episode if you want to know more about the soft core elements and the Ricky Steamboat stuff between Foley and Steamboat. But no Joe. Foley leaves. He tried. Mick Foley leaves, but Punk remains in the middle of the ring. He remains seated. He also took the book. So he's just in the middle of the ring reading Mick Foley's book. And then they go to intermission. And then they go to like a backstage promo with somebody. And then they cut back to CM Punk just still in the middle of the ring, like during intermission. The house lights are on. People are like at the concession stand. He's just in the middle of the ring, just waiting. He's not leaving until Samoa Joe comes out and shakes his hand and agrees to the rematch. They come back from intermission. The refs are trying to get him out of there because the first match of the second half is about to start. They make their entrances because the first match of the second half is the Ring Crew Express versus Special K. But Punk is still in the middle of the ring. Everybody makes their entrances. You got Dunn and Marcos on one side of the ring. You got Angel Dust and Dixie on the other side of the ring. Punk is still seated in the middle of the ring. And then they ring the bell. All right. And Punk goes over. He's like, I'm not idiot. He has the mic. He's like, I said I wasn't leaving until Samoa Joe comes out. And then he starts like talking about Mick Foley's book, which, you know what? Let's add a clip of that. Let's add a clip of CM Punk talking about his favorite parts of Mick Foley's book.
The bell's rung. This match is underway. CM Punk sitting in the middle of the ring, staging a sit-in, waiting for Samoa Joe to come out.
Idiot. Look, I don't mean you to any disrespect, but I want an answer from Joe. And if I have to sit here all night, I'll sit here. So what I'll do is read my favorite part of the book that I've read so far. It's pretty funny. Now bear with me here. It's a cheap plug for Mick Foley. All the kids are on a roller coaster. It's called the Titan. Kurt Angle's the big heel in this part of the story. He brags how he's the only one who's going to ride the track. But it says the Titan's track zigged and zagged. And when it looped the loop, Stacy looked at Triple H and said, I think I smell a poop. That's my favorite part. See, basically, Kurt Angle shits his singlet because he was afraid of the roller coaster. The moral of the story is, well, I don't know what the moral of the story is, but there's a lot of really funny pictures. Like Triple H's nose is like, you know, really huge, and like there's little hidden stuff in the story. There's like a big roller coaster with Jack Briscoe's head. It's pretty funny.
But then eventually, the lights go blue, and Samoa Joe's music hits. Out comes Joey Samoa. And it's unclear if this match is still going on, by the way, because the bell was rung. So whatever. Samoa Joe comes out, gets in Punk's face, gets the mic. He says, well, you punked me out in front of his fans. You punked me out in front of the office. You punked me out in front of Mick Foley, who, by the way, Foley's up in the balcony watching. He's like, hey, Mick, by the way, if you ever want to lace up those boots and wrestle for a real company, or no, he says, if you want to grow some balls and work for a real wrestling company, come fight me here, bitch. Foley's like, all right, thumbs up. Samoa Joe, Mick Foley, 2004, actually. Shit, actually, I was kind of kidding, but actually it sounds fire. Because we're fresh off of Backlash 2004. So this is this version of Mick Foley. And if you've seen Samoa Joe versus Necro Butcher, like, I'm thinking the parallels there. I mean, Samoa Joe McFoley. Whew. I like that. Sorry, I just got kind of I just daydreamed there for a second. I'm a little chubbed up. But anyways, Samoa Joe turns back to Punk. He's like, whatever, fuck it. You got your rematch, all right? All right. Enough. And then Samoa Joe just forearms him in the jaw, knocks him on his ass. But Punk gets back up smiling because he got clocked. But ultimately, he got what he wanted. So we got officially, we have Samoa Joe versus CM Punk 3 set up here. The final of their title trilogy. And spoiler alert, we will be seeing that on the next show. So in the December of 2004 episode, the next Ring of Honor episode that we'll be covering. Ring of Honor on, it's gonna be a huge episode, by the way. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on this month, but next month, man, because we got Joe Punk 3, and then we got another title match that I won't spoil just in case you're following along and you don't know the results of what happens in the future. But it's gonna be a very, very significant month, both involving CM Punk, Samoa Joe, but also involving Austin Aries. So, and I have very vague knowledge of what happens next month, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure there'll be a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of scuttlebutt on the streets of the Apron bump. So stay tuned for that. But that about wraps up the adventures of CM Punk. A lot going on with him and Austin Aries and Joe and ladders and Jack Evans and basketball shorts and Mick Foley and all that shit, right? So put a pin in that. Let's move on to something maybe even more significant. What is that hardest part of the ring? I don't know, Bartholomew. Why don't you hit that music? Now, look, if you follow all of the Apron bump timelines, you know I love a good faction, right? I spent months and months, if not years, gushing over the Origin over in Progress Wrestling. Just a fun faction, fun to watch, fun to listen to, and I think we are entering a new era. Well, I guess an older era technically, but in the context of real-time Apron bump episodes, we're entering a new era. I think we are finding our new favorite faction as the Origin has disbanded. We are now entering the Embassy era. Now, this is not the first we've seen of the Embassy. Prince Nana's been running around for probably almost a year at this point, trying to put together this faction of the Embassy. For a long time, it was really just him and Xavier. Xavier got injured, and I don't even know if he ever comes back. So Nana, he's been trying to find people. He recruited the Outcast Killers, which are, I mean, they're jobbers. I mean, there's no other way to put it. That's like their character, though. They set up the ring. They're disposable. They're the first line of defense. They're pawns. They don't win a lot of matches, although I think they did win a match here on this weekend. It wasn't very significant. I think it was against another pair of jobbers, but they're getting slowly built up. But more significantly, we got the debut here this month, which is why I'm, because we've glazed over the Embassy so far, but it's very significant here because we got the debut of an iteration of a certain character. We got the debut of the crown jewel, Jimmy Rave. My goodness. But Jimmy Rave is starting to find his footing here. Prince Nana is, I mean, he's always been great, but he shined. He shined this month. I got some quotes from him in some of his promos. I would clip it, but man, mid 2000s Ring of Honor audio. Ring of Honor does a lot of good stuff in this era. Capturing good quality audio where you can understand the words is not their strength. But I was able to make out some lines. There's a lot to get into. Let's just get into it, man. Actually, you know what? Let's start this Embassy talk by just highlighting their opening promo here. Night 2 opens up with a backstage promo. Classic Ring of Honor promo. It's just in a hallway. Bad acoustics. white cinder block in the background. We got the Embassy. We got Prince Nana. We got Jimmy Rave. We got Omen Tortuga and Diablo Santiago of the Outcast Killers. And we got a debuting Angel, otherwise known as Angelina Love, which, to be honest, I didn't even really know if it was her or not. She looks like buffer, I think. She has like these gross dreads and like just bigger muscles. It's like, kind of looks like Angelina Love. And then I'm only basing it off the fact that they call her Angel. I'm assuming it's Angelina Love. If I'm wrong there, somebody correct me. But she's here. We'll get into it. The promo starts. Well, actually, first of all, let's lay out the lore. Hold on. Let's lay out the lore of the Embassy. Prince Nana saw Jimmy Rave. Jimmy's been around for a while, but he's been kind of fledgling. He was the protege of AJ Styles for a while, but Jimmy Rave wasn't able to win a lot of matches, and he was getting berated by AJ. And then AJ left due to unforeseen circumstances. And then Jimmy Rave found counsel and Prince Nana. Nana sees a lot in Jimmy Rave. Maybe he's desperate for members of his faction, but he saw a lot in Jimmy Rave. So he sent Jimmy to Ghana, where Prince Nana is a prince of, somewhere in there. I don't know where in the hierarchy. Is it like a mayor, a governor? I'm not really sure. But he's a prince, Nana is, in Ghana. So he sent Jimmy to Ghana, to his palace, to where he's fanned with leaves and fed grapes, and he eats steaks off of naked ladies' bodies like Eddie Murphy. He does all of these things. He just gets a new mindset, Jimmy Rave does, in this foreign land, in this life of luxury that he now adorns. So he comes back to the States, Jimmy Rave, with a whole new attitude. He's got, he starts winning matches now, maybe due to dubious means, which we'll get into. But he just has this new attitude that he's starting to implement into his wrestling style, and we'll get into it. But that's pretty much what we've set up here with the Embassy. And to be honest, this faction is carried right now. As of right now, Prince Nana's carrying it. I mean, Jimmy Rave is great, but Prince Nana, and he's just, you people, you gross, the air that we walk into, whatever. I got quotes. I was going to improv stuff, but that probably won't lead us down a good road. But their opening promo on night 2, Nana's like, Jimmy Rave can't wrestle. He doesn't have any elbow pads, which I feel like you should be prepared for that. Prince Nana looks over to Angelina Love and is like, hey, you gross pig, go get Jimmy Rave some elbow pads. Hey, why at it? Get us some food. Why at it? Oman, what's hot dog? This accent kosher. Is this okay? I'm quoting somebody. It's all right. You know what? Should we just watch this promo together? I think we might. I think that might be a good idea. Let's fire this bad boy up. I think it's worth some commentary, personally.
Going into the city of Boston, the bright lights, the big cities, the long limousines, the shrimp cocktail, everything. The embassy is doing it and doing it well. And it's all because of you, Jimmy Rave. Thanks to you, we are the crown jewel of Ring of Honor. And we are going to do it again tonight, right here.
Let me pause this real quick. See, that is Angelina Love, right? Like, I don't recognize the tattoo on the chest, and she has like one on the arm, and the hair. I'm pretty sure this is Angelina Love, but again, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not gonna John Madden it, but if you could see what I'm circling here, I don't know if that necessarily matches. But let's keep going.
Elizabeth, New Jersey, my friend.
Hey, no, I can't wrestle. Yeah.
What do you mean by it? You need some money or?
I don't have any elbow pads.
Oh, elbow pads?
Yeah.
Which are like, why don't you have your elbow pads, Jimmy? First of all, I feel like that shouldn't be enough to stop you from wrestling. But like, have a backup pair. Borrow somebody else's. This feels pretty universal. Just get some black elbow pads. Everybody seems to have them.
Oh, no, we have that taken care of. That's what we have this one here for. Do me a favor, get out of here and go get him some elbow pads. Go. Come on. Go get the elbow pads. As a matter of fact, are you hungry? Do you need something?
I'm starving.
While you are there getting the elbow pads, whip something up for him to.
Okay, first of all, I'm still hung up on this Angelina lady. She has earrings that say love. Is that a clue? Is that her traps just seem very big here. Among other things. Let's continue.
Go on, some food. Go get some food for us too. I'm just want some food. Oh, great. What are you guys talking about also? You know what? We just those little meals that you guys whip up sometimes make me feel real good. You know what? Go help her. Get out. Move it. Let's go. Come on. You want to be back?
So he's talking to the outcast killers, who apparently are just as disposable as Angelina Love is.
Let's move it on, all right? Jimmy, it's going to be an unbelievable year coming up for you and I.
No doubt.
All right.
Sensational. That kind of sets the tone. That kind of brings you in to what we're talking about here with the embassy. They're off to a good start, I think. Getting some food, some elbow pads. But let's see if that translates. So night one was actually before this promo, but Terminator timeline. Night one kicks off with Jimmy Rave versus Ace Steel in a surprisingly good match. Like on paper, it's like, whatever, but it ended up being a pretty good match. This is the debut of Jimmy Rave's Crown Jewel moniker, which he would carry for years and years to come. To this day, I think his legacy is really rooted in the embassy and the Crown Jewel character. The match is good. The character work is really the highlight here. Nana's gold. Jimmy Rave is finding his rhythm. He's like this cocky but dorky kind of guy. Like Jimmy Rave's like, when you think of a white guy, you think of Jimmy Rave. And then Prince Nana, polar opposite. So the juxtaposition is very funny. No robe here in night one yet. The famous robe that like Swerve Strickland wears and that was handed down to him. It has a legacy behind it. We're getting. I don't want to jump ahead, but night two we may or may not see that. And Angelina Love is the step stool for Jimmy Rave, so she gets on her knees for him to get into the ring. Oh boy, 2004. What a time. But the match comes to an end. Jimmy's match with Ace Steel, when Prince Nana gets on the mic and starts jabbering, gets in the ref's face. He's on the mic. He's saying God knows what. Jimmy Rave takes advantage of this with a low blow, and then the Rave Clash. Not the Styles Clash. Completely different move. The Rave Clash for the win. Of course, stealing his mentor's maneuver, but claiming that he invented it. It's a lot of fun. We're having a lot of fun here. So Jimmy Rave gets the win in night one in a solid showing. Night two is really, though, the highlight of the weekend for the embassy, because they come out, right? Nana and the Killers come out. Not Jimmy Rave yet. They come to the ring. Nana grabs the mic. He's like, "Cut the music, you fat hillbilly." He's just fucking gold, man. And then he's going off. He's like, "A prince of my prestige should be in a place where the air is fresh and clean and not full of these fat pigs." Pointing at the audience. "Including that fat girl that came to my hotel." He says, "The girl came to his hotel last night. Oh, and by the way, sweetie, if you're listening, you have to wash." Oh, he rules. He rules. He tells Diablo to purify the air before we get started, before Jimmy Rave comes out. So he hands both Diablo Santiago and Omen Tortuga what looks like to be fleshlights. He hands them both to him. It's like spray of some sort. So they go out to the stage, and as Jimmy Rave comes out, they're as he's coming out next to him, purifying the air of the Crown Jewel. And it's at here, night two, we see the debut of the famous robe. The very same robe that Swerve Strickland has worn over the past few years. The birth of this legacy is right here in this match, night 2, weekend of Thunder. Jimmy Rave versus Jay Lethal. Debut of the robe, very significant moment. He would wear it for years and years to come. We have the royal music in the background. You got the Killers spraying their shit around him. Angelina Love again is the step stool for him to get into the ring. This whole, the presentation is just sensational. It's so, what's the word for it? It's so pretentious, I guess. Is that the word? Rude. It's a lot of things. But I think it's the character is shining very strong in a promotion with not a lot of very strong characters, if I'm being honest. A lot of good wrestling, not a ton of strong characters, but the Embassy is quickly rising above and is making themselves stand out, in my opinion. So again, oh, by the way, Jimmy Rave gets into the ring, and what do we see? A roll of toilet paper getting thrown into the ring right at Jimmy, which, again, another foreshadowing into the future, becomes a hallmark of their entrance. It becomes like a running gag. Crowd always brings toilet paper just for the Embassy. So we're seeing a lot of lore getting implanted here on this very night. So, but let's talk about the match, shall we? Let's talk a little bit about the wrestling. Jimmy Rave versus Jay Lethal. One of the best matches of the weekend. An awesome match. And two guys that have been pretty, I don't want to say insignificant so far, but they're like very early on in their runs. Jay Lethal has just recently broken off from Special K. He's the protege of Samoa Joe. Jimmy Rave spent a year just taking L after L after, like, there was a story where it was like, Jimmy Rave, if he loses this match, he might not ever be back in Ring of Honor. He's been taking so many losses. He was in a feud with AJ Styles, and then AJ Styles left. He was kind of, it felt like he was on the chopping block, but now he's found his groove. Jay Lethal, people love Jay Lethal. Even when he was in Special K, it was like so clear how much better he was than everybody else. So it's cool to see where they're at now, but again, still very early on in both Jimmy and Jay's careers. A really fucking good match, really hard-hitting, fast-paced, pretty innovative. I love watching people figure out what their finisher is going to be. Because Jay Lethal, he would go on to do the lethal combination, which is like a Uranagi into a backbreaker into a flatliner. But here he has that same thought, but it's just a little different. He does pretty much the reverse of that. He does like a front gut buster into a gut wrench suplex. So he had that idea of let me pendulum him down and then do something else, but he's still figuring it out. Rave with the Shining Wizard, big lariat from Jay Lethal that turns Rave inside out. Jay Lethal with some of the most brutal chop. If you listen to a lot of interviews from other wrestlers, a lot of people will say Jay Lethal has his chops hurt the most out of everybody. Just huge hands, so loud, so thudding. But again, at the end of the match, Prince Nana gets on the mic, babbling, distracts the ref, and this allows Jimmy Rave to fight out of a dragon suplex with a low blow, and then the Rave clash for the 1, 2, 3. Jimmy Rave, 2-0 this weekend. 2 big wins for Jimmy. Big weekend for the Embassy. And Prince Nana keeps running his mouth. After the bell, Jay Lethal gets back up, gets in Nana's face, tells him to shut the hell up, which the crowd loves. Slaps the shit out of Prince Nana, and then slaps every member of the Embassy individually, and then runs away. That's the fucking Three Stooges. So the Embassy, they're still a bit of a bumbling group, but we're building. We're building, and I like what we're seeing. Love what we're seeing here from the Embassy. So, and Jay Lethal's got some momentum too. So even though that he lost, he had a really good showing here. He's still involved with Samoa Joe, which we'll talk a little bit more about later. He's got some good momentum. So overall, great match, and everybody came out looking better after the fact. So good stuff from the Embassy. Let's move on to a different faction, shall we? There's a lot of faction tomfoolery happening this month. Talking about the embassy. Let's talk about the former prophecy. Dan Moff, BJ Whitmer. They still don't have a fucking team name, by the way. It's driving me crazy. It's a mouthful to say BJ Whitmer and Dan Moff every single time. Should we just make up a faction name for them? I got a few in mind, but that's probably shouldn't say it. Night one I'm just gonna call them the prophecy. Night one, we had a Boston street fight. The team of BJ Moff. See, that's why I always get their names mixed up. BJ Whitmer and Dan Moff versus the Carnage Crew, the team of DeVito and Loke. To set the tone here, let's all take a listen to this backstage promo from the former manager of Moff and Whitmer, the former manager of the prophecy. Let's all sit back and take a listen to this promo from one Allison Danger.
Moff and Whitmer, I have a message for you tonight, guys. You're not getting out of here alive. You're not going to win the titles. You're not going to get past the Carnage Crew. You're not even going to survive this weekend. What do you think of that? Did you forget I own your contracts? They stay with me every night. They lay against my body while I'm sleeping, dreaming of the day I end you both and I bathe in your blood. What do you think of that, Moff and Whitmer? Do you like it? Because I know I love it. It tastes so good to me. Oh my God. Oh, it's not going to end here.
Okay, so that's a lot, right? So lot to unpack. She sleeps next to their... So Allison Danger, to recap, she has the contract. She owns Moff and Whitmer, basically. She has their contract. She can put them in whatever matches that she wants, which I feel like she does. She shouldn't have that authority. I feel like the higher ups at Ring of Honor maybe should have gotten ahead of this to prevent something like this. Whatever. What's done is done. The past is the past. The point is, she owns Moff and Whitmer. And to reinforce that, like she mentioned, sleeps next to the contracts against her body, which to me is just asking for paper cuts. But I digress. And bathes in their blood. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. So what I'm gathering is that she's not a big fan of them. That is my analysis. I do have a microphone in front of my face, which makes me an analyst, I think. So she's hungry or thirsty for revenge on BJ Whitmer and Dan Moff. So what is the journey that would take this month? Well, let me tell you. This street fight between BJ Whitmer, Dan Moff, and the Carnage Crew. So Allison Danger is essentially, during this whole weekend, she's trying to recruit the Carnage Crew. She's trying to recruit them to take out Moff and Whitmer, at her behest, if you will. So this street fight happens. Danger's not out there. It's just these two teams. They have beef with each other, independent of Danger. She's not really a factor in either of their minds. They're brawling all over the ring. There's blood. There's chairs. They're in the crowd. They're on the barricades. It's a whole thing. You know what these two are going to do. Allison Danger comes out, which again might be worth some commentary because I think we got to do some analysis on her performance in this run-in here. So let's find this portion of the match, whatever. These guys are brawling all over the ring, yada, yada, yada. And here comes Allison Danger. Turn the volume down here. We're just going to visually walk through this here. So Carnage Crew is down. BJ Whitmer and Dan Moff, they're in control. Allison Danger comes out with two trash cans. One would assume a trash can per individual that she wants their blood, BJ and Dan. So she has two trash cans. Let's see how she maneuvers these trash cans, shall we? All right, she's jawing with them. She's jolling, puts one trash can down, tosses one, and Bob's her uncle hits the top rope, comes back at her. Let's try it one more time. Oh, nerds, it happens again. Goes into the crowd. Not working well for Allison. I don't even remember if she actually ever gets these cans into the ring. I don't think she does. But they do find themselves in the ring at some point because ultimately that's what leads to the downfall of BJ and Moth. You know, we might be laughing at Allison Danger, but these trash cans came to effect because DeVito and Loke with a concerto with the trash cans, contrash canto, onto Dan Moth as BJ is dealing with Allison Danger, running her off. But the Carnage crew takes advantage, double trash can shot to Dan Moth, gets the 1, 2, 3. So ultimately, Danger accomplished what she set out to, and that was the loss of BJ, Whitmer, and Dan Moth. She gets back in the ring. She yells to the Carnage crew. She wants the blood of BJ and Moth. She grabs a can. She starts attacking Moth. BJ's up, chases her off, and that's where we're left at night 1. But night 2, the saga continues with Allison Danger. She's becoming a Hall of Famer in the apron bump lore, you know, very quickly. Night 2, Allison's back. So we got another tag team match. It's a squash match. It's the Carnage crew versus the team of Anthony Franco and Davey Andrews, who apparently are trainees of the Ring of Honor school. And I think this is their first match here. And which, by the way, in commentary is like, yeah, this is like their 4th or 5th match. And meanwhile, these poor boys are getting dropped on their head with second rope pile drivers and all that shit, right? It's like really a trial by fire, I suppose. But Carnage crew wins pretty handedly. Allison Danger comes out after the match, grabs the mic, and the crowd chants, "Please don't talk. Please don't talk," which is a sensational chant that I feel like needs to get brought back. But Danger says, "I am the bearer of all the secrets of Moth and Whitmer. Now that you've tasted some victory, Carnage crew, how does it taste in your mouth?" These are quotes, by the way. I'm not just having fun. These are quotes. I think it's DeVito says, "Listen, you rat. Unless you're here to give me and Loke a lap dance, shut your mouth, bitch." Allison retorts with, "I have their contract still. I will put them in the most dangerous match in Ring of Honor history." It's unclear if that involves the Carnage crew or not, but we'll see. We'll see. The most dangerous match in Ring of Honor history. What would that be? Cage match? Barbed wire match? Barbed wire match sounds like a thing that they would do. I really don't know. I really don't know at all. So we'll all find out together, I suppose. But then to tie a bow on all of this, which doesn't really involve Allison Danger here, but it does involve BJ Whitmer and Dan Moth, because BJ and Dan, they're trying to get away from the Allison drama. They're trying to get away from the prophecy, and they just want to be tag team champions themselves. And they get their opportunity on night 2 against the champions, the Havana Pitbulls, Ricky Reyes and Rocky Romero of the Rottweilers. Now I know it's confusing because they're pit bulls, but they're also Rottweilers. I guess they're a mixed breed because the tag team, the duo here, are pit bulls. But when they're paired with Homicide and Low Key and Julius Smokes, they are now the Rottweilers. But are they still the pit bulls, or are they Pitweilers or Rot Bulls? A lot of questions, not a lot of answers. We got the Pit Bulls versus BJ and Moth. Honestly, a pretty dull match. If I'm being honest, I expected more from this. There's some fun stuff here. You got BJ going for a top rope wrist clutch suplex, which Rocky counters into a crazy reverse DDT off the top rope, dropping BJ on his head. We got Dan Moth with a burning hammer to Rocky Romero. goes for the pin, but Julius Smokes pulls the ref. And then we get a little bit of twin magic. Ricky Reyes and Rocky Romero switch places. Ricky with a small package to Dan Moff for the quick 1, 2, 3 out of nowhere. So some Basham Brothers shenanigans here to get the Pit Bulls the win. It was a very WWE style match. Like, there was some fun stuff in like the last 3% of this match, but a lot of it was just kind of whatever. I wonder, because this is the night that Mick Foley was there, I often wonder how much influence that has, because he's like backstage and shit. So he's probably going to these guys like, hey, slow it down. Maybe Mick Foley isn't. That's not really, I don't know if that's really a Mick Foley move, but a lot of matches on night 2 kind of felt WWE-ified, for lack of a better term. But so BJ and Moff do not get the tag team titles. It remains with the Pit Bulls. And so that's where the Prophecy drama ends this month. I am locked in, though. Allison Danger, her performance, it's kooky. But I think it might be my kink. Anyways, while we're talking about the Rottweilers, let's wrap up. There's some loose ends with the Rottweilers that we haven't really touched on. We talked about the Pit Bulls. Let's talk about the other members. First of all, let's talk about Homicide. Mr. Homicide getting a little pure championship match, which I laugh because the concept of Homicide fighting for the pure title is very funny to me. Even though he's a very good wrestler, it's such a, again, I feel like I said juxtaposition way too many times this episode, but it's really fun. I mean, him versus John Walters. John Walters, of course, the current pure champion, taking on Homicide. And if you're not familiar, pure title rules. You get 3 rope breaks and no punches to the face. And I believe that's it. I think a 20 count on the floor. So a little bit of a different rule set from your typical match to promote more of a technical approach to the match, which again, given that Homicide and his group of thugs are wreaking havoc on Ring of Honor, it's very funny to see him in a pure championship match, but we have a good little thing. So it could have been a good match, right? Ended up being okay, but we had a bit of a mishap here. So there's one point. First of all, it starts off very clean, which caught me off guard. I thought this match was going to be like Homicide, like trying to cheat the system, trying to have the ref distracted and getting in punches to the face or rope breaks when he's usually not allowed to. I thought he was going to try to, circumvent the rules here, but pretty just clean chain wrestling. I like it. He does throw one punch and gets a warning from the ref. But at one point, Homicide sets up John Walters on the top rope for a superplex, but Homicide slips and does a front flip to the floor and does a full-on back bump on the concrete floor or wood floor, whatever it is. A very unforgiving floor. At first, I thought, it was kind of the story of the match. They're playing into it, but it was a very long period of a few minutes where they're just checking on Homicide. You got the doctors out there. He gets in. They start counting. The ref does, because again, he has a 20 count. At 19, Julius Smokes helps Homicide in the ring. And at this point, I'm like, he got in at 19. Like maybe that all was by design. Maybe that was, quote unquote planned. But there's not a lot to the match after. Like Homicide's still a little loopy. Walters hits a DDT for a 2 count, then a Hurricane DDT for a 2 count, but just like a Dominator, like on the shoulders into a DDT situation. Then Walters eventually hits a Sunset Powerbomb off the top rope and right into a sharpshooter. Homicide gets to the ropes, but then Walters just pulls him right back, right into a Boston Crab. And then Julius Smokes gets in and causes a DQ. So just a weird finish. Like I would think Homicide slipping off the top rope, hitting his head on the floor. It's like, okay, maybe that's a story, but it just didn't really play into the finish. And it just felt like a weird anticlimactic finish. And I have to emphasize, like there's a lot of time, a big pause in the action checking on Homicide. So the momentum was very weird in this match. Ultimately, Walters retains the title due to DQ. I don't know if they'll do this again or if this story continues, but it was a very odd one, a very peculiar one. This was, by the way, the crowd, they don't like Homicide, right? This match in particular, they're in Boston, which John Walters is a Boston guy, Homicide, a New York guy, and this is fresh off the Red Sox winning the World Series. So tensions are high between New York and Boston, so they don't like Homicide for his geography. He's also a dirty, dirty heel, so they're already booing him. So they're chanting Homicide. Homicide, right? 2004. But after Homicide takes that bump and he gets back, he keeps fighting, they then begin to chant Homicide, his real name, his birth name. So he gained a bit of respect from the crowd, which I thought was a fun little underlying story as well. But so that's Homicide. That was really all Homicide had this month. He was involved in a weird scramble match on night one, which, let me pull that up real quick. We can talk about it real quick. Night one, Homicide was in a 4-corner survival match with Angel Dust, Fast Eddie, Dunn, of Dunn and Marcos, and then Homicide. So it was a 4-way match. I guess there's some fun stuff in this match. We'll settle down and talk about it. First of all, if you're not familiar, Fast Eddie, legally blind, can't see out of his eyes. But that doesn't stop him from going to the top rope and doing these crazy jumping, spinning heel kicks up the top rope and moonsaults. He's doing this moonsault, fall away slam. Every time he goes to the top rope, I get so anxious. It's like, brother, you can't see. What are we doing? do a chin lock. Do a Mahastral cradle if you're feeling frisky. But we need to go to the top rope and dive to the floor. I don't know if we need to do that. But I see this, look, it's Homicide. And then it's random guy from Special K, one half of the Ultimate Jobber tag team and Dunn, and a blind guy. So I'm like, oh yeah, Homicide just gonna massacre these guys. But it ended up being a lot more competitive than I thought it would be. Fast Eddie got a lot of moves, all that stuff I was describing. He showed out in this one. Dunn with a big elbow off the top rope. You got Angel Dust doing this like jumping arm bar. Some good offense from each guy. But ultimately, like the back half of this becomes just a Homicide showcase. He's throwing top rope cutters to one guy. Then he'll go to the next guy and do some T-bone suplexes. Then he'll go to the third guy and he'll do like a rolling octopus stretch. And then ultimately, Cop Killer to Angel Dust and gets the win. And so Homicide gets the win here, and that kind of led him into that pure title match on night 2. But after this match, he gets on the mic and he's just going on a rage fit about the Red Sox. Because again, they're in Boston. He's like, fuck the Red Sox. He calls, I'm not going to say what he called Pedro Martinez, but it's not a very nice name. He does not call him a prick. He does not call him Rick. But he calls him something like that. I'll put it that way. And then a fan storms the ring. I don't know if this was legit. You know what? Maybe we should pull this up and do commentary on it and find out for ourselves, because I haven't really taken a second look at it. Let's see, because it's like just it doesn't really play into anything. It's just, I don't know, maybe calling Pedro Martinez a dirty, dirty. What did he call him again? Right. So he's going in on the crowd, right? Yeah, your baseball team sucks. I agree, Homicide. Absolutely. Yeah, my baseball team's better than your baseball team. He says, I don't know if you caught that. He said, fuck TNA, fuck you, jabroni. Is the aforementioned guy, when we were talking about CM Punk, is the annoying fan with a TNA t-shirt, which I don't think he's the fan that jumps the barricade, though. It's this guy. All right. Just slaps the shit. I forgot how cartoonish this slap was. What? Let's take one more look at this. Geez! And then Rocky and Ricky proceed to stomp the shit out of him as a security guy tries to pull him out. This looks pretty legit, right? Low key in here to join in on the action. They're just trying to stomp him out. They're just trying to, oh, Jesus. Some stiff kicks to the back of the head. That'll teach him. And then the security guy tries to take him out, but the Rottweilers chase him. And then low-key, hold on. Low-key, unnecessary clubbing blow to the back of the head. Let's watch this one more time. All right, Homicide gives him a shove. The boys! Fuck that guy, I guess, huh? They're not letting him off easy. Just one security guy trying to keep this in order. It's not working out well for him. His shirt's off. His titties are out. Get this guy out of here. Come on now. Fuck that guy, I guess. I forgot how funny that was. I wasn't even going to bring it up. But god damn it, I'm glad I did. All right, so that's Homicide. So that's where he's at. Let's talk about the last Rottweiler here. The last Rottweiler. Let's talk a little bit about Mr. Senshi, a.k.a. Kaval, a.k.a. Low-Key. He had a match with Chad Collier on night one, which... Chad Collier, man, I'm becoming a big Chad Collier fan. Look, I went into this a couple years ago when I was like, you know what, I'm gonna relive the glory days of Ring of Honor. I'm thinking, man, I'm gonna become such a bigger fan of Joe. I'm gonna get into all the Christopher Daniels and the CM Punks and the Ravens and the Colt Cabanas and the Briscoes. Like, I'm excited for all these guys. But I sit here, I'm like, give me more Chad Collier. Give me more Embassy. More Alice in Danger. There's no other podcast. Not one. Maybe like one or two. No, you're not going to find them, though. None that are as passionate about Chad Collier as the Apron Bump. You're welcome. So Low-Key versus Chad Collier. If you're unfamiliar with Chad Collier, think Dean Malenko, but beefier. That'll pretty much get you where you need to go. He was trained by Dean Malenko. He already kind of looks like him, and he wrestles like him now. He's a hoot on the mic too, which I don't know if it's at this point. Hold on here. Let me get my ducks in a row here. Oh, that's right. So it's not here. But we'll get to it. So Low-Key. So we got Low-Key versus Chad Collier. There's a point in this match where Low-Key gets monkey flipped, lands on his feet, and seems to fuck up his ankle. Which we've all seen this thing, right? Where a wrestler, a heel, gets injured. He's like, oh, no. And he pulls down the knee pad. Oh, my knee, man. My knee. I don't know, I'm Rey Mysterio here, but they're like, oh, I got an injury. We got to call this off. The referee's looking at him. Hey, back up. He needs help. And the heel, he's like, oh, he's hobbling out. And then bam! Attacks, right? The old fake out situation. Which is what I'm expecting here. But at some point, the ref just calls off the match. Like, we're like 4 minutes into this. And it's like, all right, ring the bell. We're done. Or actually, he didn't ring the bell. He's just like, yeah, we're done. And then they cut to the next segment. I'm like, oh, shit, I guess that was actually an injury. They cut to a Generation Next promo. They come back. And you know what? I think the audio... I'll have it up on video, but the audio, I think, speaks for itself. Let's take a listen. So again, Low-Key's injured. Refs checking on him. The doctors are checking on him. We're all very sad for Low-Key. And again, this is Gabe Sapolsky on commentary, just to remind you. So this is coming out of this Generation Next promo.
Man, you know what's up, Rod. You know.
We are back in the ring. This match is indeed over. You hate to see these kind of things.
Chad's clapping for
I mean,
him.
as much as I don't like Low-Key, you never want to see anyone get injured.
Well, Chad Collier being a tremendous sport right here, helping Key out of the ring along with referee Gary Moyer.
You have to wonder about Key's future right now and the tag team. Oh, that motherfucker!
Wait a second. There's nothing wrong with his foot.
That motherfucker. Wait, what else does he say?
Son of a bitch!
Gabe's
I'm sorry,
pissed.
we're gonna have to edit my language there.
How dare you, Gabe? Come on now, it's a family show. So yeah, low key with the fake out. It got me. I was like, shit, they're moving on to other segments. When they did come back to it afterwards, I was like, oh, okay, maybe there's something fishy in the air. But yeah, so very well done segment there. And then they proceed into the actual match, Low-Key versus Chad Collier. Chad actually ends up targeting the ankle, so bit of karma on his part. A lot of strikes from Chad Collier, which is usually very chain wrestle heavy, very submission heavy. But he's throwing a lot of fun chops and drop kicks in this. He's becoming more of a complete wrestler. You got Low-Key with all the classic stiff knees to the head for no reason, the kicks. Chad ends up hitting this crazy dragon screw right into the cloverleaf. Low-Key ends up tapping out, but Ricky Reyes, fellow Rottweiler, has the ref distracted, so he does not see the tap out. Chad ends up going for a superplex. Rocky Romero, this time, distracts the ref. Ricky Reyes jerks off Chad off the top rope, and Low-Key hits a double stomp off the top rope for the 1, 2, 3. So through ample shenanigans, Low-Key gets the win over Chad Collier. But again, just another match that I looked on paper. I was like, this might be all right, but ended up being a very, very good match. You have the grounded style of Chad Collier, big beefy boy, versus Low-Key, very wiry, very kung fu, very, very Liger-esque. It was a yin and yang of these styles, and I liked watching it. So again, becoming a big Chad Collier guy, and most of it, I'm gonna be honest, is for his promos. Which, I mean, so there's this whole thread with Chad Collier and Nigel McGuinness, and they have a match against each other on night 2. So Chad versus McGuinness, a predictably very fun chain wrestling match. Nigel's already got a ton of momentum. The crowd loves him. There's one point where Chad has Nigel in the cloverleaf, really deep. The bell rings. Time, limit, draw. I forget if it was 10 or 15 minutes, whatever it was. They come to a draw after really competitive. A lot of fun counters between these guys. The British style was in full effect here, which again, I've said this before, but in 2004, an incredibly foreign thing to a lot of wrestling fans here in the States. So very ahead of its time stuff here. Between Nigel and Chad, again, Chad is just very solid. Nigel has just, I wrote here, he has this effortlessly cunty way of being so smooth with his offense. Like there's one point where he does this arm drag, and he doesn't just do it. Like he sees Chad coming, and he sachets side, like almost like a what do you call this when your hips move? You know, like what's the fucking cartoon? You know what I'm talking about, when it's like they make the shape of an S like back and forth. Do you know what I'm talking about? I don't. But Nigel, he just sachets his way into offense, and just a very cunty way, but it's very British. And it's fun to watch. But that leads us into the star of why I even brought any of this up. This promo here. Let's go ahead and take a listen. This is Nigel McGuinness backstage with Gary Michael Capetta during intermission of night 2. Then we have an appearance from Chad Collier. Let's go ahead and take a listen to this little ditty.
Hey everybody, it's Gary Michael Capetta. We're at the Rexplex. It's intermission time. The first half blew the roof off the Rexplex. Mick Foley here, and I can't believe what he said. And of course, we've got Jushin Thunder Liger coming up in the second half. But first, we've got a gentleman here who's making quite a name for himself. Nigel McGuinness with that little British twinge to your athletic ability. You had a great opening match tonight, that draw.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I'm all right, you know. I mean, I didn't win. I would have loved to beat that guy, but Chad Collyer...
Hold on. British twinge, nothing. What are you talking to this bozo right here for? You should be talking to me. I had him screaming
this bozo. Anyways.
Like a turkey. I had him locked up.
To beat that guy, but Chad Collyer...
Hold on. British twinge, nothing. What are you talking to this bozo right here for? You should be talking to me. I had him screaming like a turkey. I had him locked up in my Texas cloverleaf. He was going to tap, but hey, guess what? The time limit runs out. Lucky you. But I'm not here to complain. I'm not even here
for a rematch, Zoom?
Nigel McGuinness.
Hold on. First of all, Nigel is just like off camera, like turning his head away, laughing. This bozo! And he's like tripping over his words and shit. But this really bizarre zoom so close to Chad Collier's face. His head's already big enough, for good lord.
In my Texas cloverleaf, he was going to tap, but hey, guess what? The time limit runs out. Lucky you. But I'm not here to complain. I'm not even here for a rematch, Nigel McGuinness. All I know is that you and I, after beating that scallywag, Mick Foley's miserable hardcore team in Chicago, what do you say me and you form a tag team? After all, you and I, we go together like peanut butter and jelly, ham and eggs, and beer and girls. What do you say? Next month here at the Rexplex, you and I challenge those.
We go together like beer and girls. Anyways.
Miserable, ugly Rottweilers for that tag team gold. I want some gold around my beautiful waist. What do you say, Nigel? Come on, baby.
Come on, yeah. You know, we were good enough for Steamboat, so I think we're good enough to take those belts.
That's what I want to hear. Whoa!
God, I thought they were going to lock it up right here. All right, everybody, you heard it. Tag team action. We're going to have plenty of it, but still to come, Jushin Thunder Liger is here tonight. You'll see him in the second half, and I'm going to send it over to Sugar Sean. Is that okay, guys?
I don't care. But I'm going to put
Not going to
let me call next time.
A six-man. All right. Send it away, please.
Beer and girls, baby. Beer and girls. Let's go, man.
Man, the plot twist of the century is Chad Collier being an all-time great on the mic. I mean, who would have thought? Watching this guy in 02, I remember he had a stinker with Bryan Danielson in 2002, maybe 03, maybe early 03. But I was like, this fucking guy, another just white guy with short hair who does arm bars. But lo and behold, he has great matches with Nigel McGuinness, a great match with Low Ki, and an all-star performance on the stick backstage. Tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. If I had, you know how Ring of Honor has their top 5 rankings? If I had mine, he'd be all 5 slots. It'd be Chad, and then Collier, and then Chad Collier, and then whatever his other names were for the other two slots. All right. So Chad Collier, that concludes Chad Collier talk. That our news weekly segment. Chad Collier talk. Even if it's like a WCW episode. No, guys. Time for Chad Collier talk. It's sweeping the nation. What else is there to talk about? We talked about this scramble. We had another scramble on night 2. We had a little 4-corner survival. Izzy of Special K versus Fast Eddie versus Trent Acid versus Jack Evans. I'm just going to read off these notes because I don't really remember what happened in this match, but it seemed to be pretty notable, judging by my notes. There's like, for like Special K, we all know Special K, right? There's like 78 of these guys. They're all on the outside. Trent does a moonsault to the outside onto Special K. Again, at least like 8 or 9 people. Take a guess how many people caught Trent coming off the top rope. I'll give you some time. Take a guess. 0. Splat. Gee whiz, man. Then Fast Eddie. He does he gets shoved off the top rope again onto this pile of Special K. And again, nobody fucking catches him. You all suck. And then Jack Evans, this brave soul, goes to the top rope. Let's give him one more try. A 630 Phoenix splash off the top rope to the outside, and Special K finally learns to catch him. Thank God. By the way, and then we have this Special K lore, the civil war between the Special K members. We got Izzy, who's in this match. He has this girlfriend who's been trying to get him to break away from the others. All of the other Special K guys, they've agreed to come out to no music until their losing streak is snapped. They want to get serious. They're serious Special K, but Izzy, he's still a wacky fella, I guess. And Izzy comes out to music, so he's obviously not subscribing to the beliefs of his other faction mates. A little trouble in paradise with Special K. But the match continues. Trent Acid almost paralyzes Jack Evans with this. It's called the backseat driver. So think of a razor's edge, but reverse. So you have him up so that you both are facing the same way. Into, I don't know if it's supposed to be a face buster or a pile driver, but he somehow does both. Just drills Jack Evans into the mat. Fast Eddie. Another great performance by Blind Eddie. He hits an iconoclasm off the top rope, like keeps the wrist control right into a pump handle tombstone. Come on now. Crazy transition. Trent Acid comes in with a Yakuza kick to Izzy, and then a huge lariat to Jack Evans, just sending all of these guys into orbit. He hits the lariat onto Jack Evans, which causes him to do a shooting star press on the Fast Eddie. There's a reverse Rana in there somewhere. This is just what these these multi-man scrambles should be. Just chaos. Fast Eddie with a follow-away moonsault to Jack Evans onto Special K onto the outside. Izzy with a top rope sliced bread to Trent Acid for the 1-2-3. So Izzy gets the win. I for sure thought either Jack Evans or Trent Acid was going to win this one. I thought Jack Evans was going to win. I thought they were trying to build up Generation Next here, but no, Izzy gets the win. And so maybe he's the top Special K-er. Maybe he's double K or triple K. Izzy gets the win. And yeah, just a fun scramble match there. But let's close this episode out with my match of the weekend. We've talked about a lot of fun matches tonight, or today, or this morning, whenever you're listening to this or watching this. Let's talk about match of the night, match of the weekend. It is a match that occurs on night one, just in the middle of the show. No titles on the line. Nothing really at stake, honestly. But it was just such a goddamn good match here. We got a tag team match. The team of Jay Lethal and Samoa Joe versus the team of John Walters and Nigel McGuinness. Kind of a random assortment of guys if you're just coming into this cold. But again, got to remember that Jay Lethal is the protege of Samoa Joe, so they come out with like the same tights, which looks kind of goofy, but whatever. They got the team cohesion there. John Walters and Nigel McGuinness, two technical guys, two pure division guys, I suppose. But the real story here is that we have both singles champions in the same match. I believe for the first time. I could be wrong, but it's particularly significant here because Samoa Joe, an underlying like thing with him is that he hates the pure championship. He hates that there's another title floating around that questions his supremacy. He says that they had to create another title because Joe was so dominant that nobody could beat him. So they just had to create an entire new division to give other guys belts. And Joe, well, he looks down on that. John Walters, on the other hand, fits the pure division like a glove. I've talked about him, big John Walters guy as well. He's a great representation of what pure wrestling can be. Guys that maybe lack in character, but are just really good wrestlers. It's where they thrive. John Walters fits that perfectly here. So these interactions between Joe and Walters, because Joe hates the pure title, therefore he hates John Walters. And John Walters hates that Joe hates the pure title because Walters is trying to prop up this pure division. He's working hard to build the prestige. There's a lot going on here. Then you got the Joe Lethal dynamic. You got Nigel McGuinness, who's on a run. A lot of pieces involved in this that created just a really, really good match. And ultimately, like there's a lot, I could talk about the spots or whatever in this, but the thing that set this match, this is my favorite thing in wrestling, is when there's intensity, when there's a good energy, and it feels like a legitimate struggle. It's a theme that I've talked about a lot on this podcast. It's why the Joe and Punk matches are so good. It feels like two guys trying to win a match, which seems like, like that's what every match is, hardest part of the ring. But is it though? Because I'll go watch Kyle Fletcher and fucking Will Ospreay do Cirque du Soleil. Let me do the pass through. Let me lift you up. Let me throw your kick into this kick and then prop you up here so I can set you up for this. No, these four guys are just trying to kick the shit out of each other. And they're trying to get the 1, 2, 3 or the submission. The pin breakups feel desperate. The moves feel impactful. The hatred between Joe and Walters is palpable. So good. So good. It's just a real fuck you energy to this match, which I love, particularly between Joe and Walters. Joe is pie-facing Walters on the apron constantly in this match and vice versa. Walters gets the hot tag. He's beating up on Lethal in the ring, and then he hits Joe with a forearm to knock him off the apron to get a little revenge, which we all know Samoa Joe, right? The concept of knocking him off the apron in a tag team match, he's going to be pissed. And his facials and his intensity, the way he sweats and he shakes, you feel the anger bottling up inside of him. So when Joe got that hot tag later, it just felt like an explosion. He gets in the ring, all the Joe stuff, right? But it feels like there's intent behind it. The rapid slaps, the sentons, the chops, the kicks, all of it's so good. Some particularly fun spots in this match. Nigel does a headstand in the corner. You know, the deal where you again, it's what it's called, a headstand on the top rope to confuse his opponent. So he confuses Lethal with this and ends up reversing and kicking Lethal and getting the advantage. But later in the match, he tries this against Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe, the walk away thing, the Joe when he avoids a crossbody or something. Very similar vein here. So Nigel does that cheeky little headstand in the corner, but Joe just keeps running and boots him in the fucking face. And then Joe and Nigel watching them wrestle was a treat as well. Joe goes for that classic corner Uranagi, when an opponent's running at him and then he picks him up and slams him. Nigel gets picked up, but then he counters into an arm drag. It's these little things that they add a little something different to the commonplace stuff that we're accustomed to seeing. Really unique, innovative stuff in this one. You got John Walters with a second rope backpack stunner to Jay Lethal. But then the finish comes when Nigel, once again, does that headstand in the corner. And Lethal comes charging in. Not going to be fooled this time. Oh, wait, he is, because Nigel counters, flips right over the shoulder of Jay Lethal, picks him up, flips him over, Tower of London facebuster into the mat, and then right into that arm submission of his. I don't think it has a name. It's not the London Dungeon. It's something else. It's like a short arm scissors Kimura combination of sorts. He has Lethal in this submission. Joe, him and Walters are brawling on the outside. Joe sees this out of the corner of his eye. He tries to come in to break the submission, but John Walters, who is holding the ankles of Joe, trying to keep him from breaking it up, and Jay Lethal is in it for too long. Jay Lethal taps out to Nigel McGuinness. Nigel and John Walters win. Therefore, in a roundabout sort of way, the pure champion has beaten the world champion. Just great stuff. The match was great, but the story here, I don't know if it really leads into anything with Walters and Joe, but like, I enjoy the dynamic of all these guys working together. I loved the spots. I loved the story, how it progressed, the intensity. Again, just great stuff. And among all of the world title matches and then the super dream matches with Jushin Liger, you got Punk and Aries, you got the scramble matches, you got the tag team title matches, the pure title match, the street fights. Among all of that, match of the weekend, just a semi-random tag team match, but that's the beauty of this era of Ring of Honor. Any match can just grip you. It's just such a fun time in wrestling, man. I said it in the beginning. I don't know if I've ever had more fun. I don't know if anything just like speaks to me more than mid-2000s Ring of Honor. Just such good shit, man. And again, we're only getting started here in the grand scheme of things. Next month is going to be a major month for Ring of Honor, December of 2004, and then we're off to 2005. And again, I'm only vaguely familiar of what happens that year, but from what I understand, we got a lot of good stuff coming. So make sure you are subscribed and following and all that happy horse shit to the Apron Bump so you don't miss a thing. We're really cooking here with Ring of Honor, and check out the archive of stuff too if you have not already. Come along the journey, get caught up, because it is a fun old ride. That's about all Daddy has for you guys today. Appreciate everybody tuning in, watching, listening, tasting, all that stuff. Make sure you follow me on the social media. Make sure you join the Discord. That's about it, right? I've had you guys long enough. Why don't y'all go on and go do something else. Go build a church. Go foster a cat. Go do something else. You've been with me enough. But I appreciate it. Appreciate you all. As always, big smooches all around. Mwah. I'm hard.
Yeah. It's the hardest. Talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started. It's the hardest. Talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started.